everyone, it's your artist here, Karis Fizel with the Ashes to Beauty Artistry. I'm so excited about this video I have for you today. This is a process video with commentary included from yours truly of the first mural I did back in March. This piece was commissioned by a man named Travis Smith with the Lab here in town. For those of you who don't know, the Lab is a massive gym and sports training center. It's really cool and I strongly recommend that you go check it out if you haven't already. When he asked me to do this piece, the only specific instruction he gave me was that he wanted this Falcon warrior cave drawing. Everything else he left up to my artistic imagination. The Falcon warrior petroglyph is located in Devil's Step Hollow Cave at the head of the Sequatchie Valley. It is one of the oldest cave drawings in North America, created in the Mississippian era, roughly 1,000 years ago. There are many different artistic interpretations from this era of this warrior, but the one in the cave specifically looks like this. This was part of their warrior culture. Travis wanted it in the lab as a reminder that warriors have been training here in the Sequatchie Valley for 1,000 years. Towards the end of the project, I was asked to take some artistic license and adapt the painting into a combination of the lab's logo and the original cave drawing. So this will not be an exact replica of the original Falcon warrior. Now let's get into the painting process. The day before I began work on the mural, I prepared the wall with a coat of black paint to allow it to set overnight. I typically like starting my paintings with a black background or canvas versus a white one because it's easier for me to work from highlights to shadows rather than vice versa. It also creates a dramatic intensity to the image when I am done. I wanted to keep this project as cost-effective as possible, so I tried my hand at painting using only primary colors for the first time with this piece. Only buying cans of red, yellow, blue, black, and white paint seemed the better way to go, rather than creating a whole color palette beforehand and buying all the colors already mixed. That could have easily limited my color options and therefore affected the dynamics of the whole mural. Right now I am mixing my main base color for the cave rock. Now that my main colors are mixed, I can begin the blocking process. This will lay a nice first coat of color down and allow me to play around with where I want things to go since I'm painting this from my head. The first several layers are always going to be messy, but as more layers are added, it will start coming together. Trusting the process is key. Right now, I am quickly mapping out the location of the cracks in the rock before I add more detailed layers. Layering with a sponge required a little extra time, but it gave the end result a nice textured look to the rock. So with this being my first mural, my mind became overwhelmed at times towards the beginning. Yeah. Recomputing. This is when things gradually started coming together. I'm blocking out the general shapes of the rock formations on the wall and then going over them with a warm wash to blend them back into the painting a bit. My best friend with this piece was the M1 paint extender additive. It allowed me to dilute the paint enough for these washes and keep all my paints from drying out too quickly before I finished blending. Opposite to the paint wash technique, there is the dry brush technique, which is what I'm using to form shadows around the cracks. The dry brush technique basically allows for more texture to be created while still evenly blending the paint. Light has always been something I've enjoyed capturing in paintings, so of course I had to find a way to incorporate it into this mural, and what better way to light up an ancient cave drawing than with fire from a torch. After adding a few more highlights to the rock, I come back and add an outline of pure yellow to the flame. Because this is such a tedious detail for me, I have to stabilize my hand with my face to keep my tremors from interfering. It also helps with my muscle tightness from the cerebral palsy I was born with. If you are curious about my story and what I do with my art, check out the website link for more information. It is important to not only capture the source of light, but also properly portray how the light then affects the surrounding environment. Consistent placement of highlights and shadows are key to making this look realistic. Moving on to the lower foreground area, I started by loosely outlining rock structures. I think I use around 6 different color mixtures for these rocks. Since I started with a black background, I am only coming in with midtones and highlights to form the rock shapes. During this project, I was still recovering from a pretty traumatic leg surgery, so I was not able to bend my knee. That's why I'm painting in weird positions sometimes. Yes, it felt uncomfortable as it looks. To complement all the warm highlights, I've mixed a blue-gray to add in certain places for more color dynamics. Then I dry brush over it with some black to tone it down a smidge so it doesn't stand out and compete with the highlights. I also do this in certain areas on the rock to create a little more depth in the structure of the rocks so they don't look as flat. You've probably noticed that throughout the video I paint with both hands, especially when working on small details. It's nice to be able to switch when one hand gets tired or if I need to get the paintbrush at a better angle. When I paint on a canvas, I can rotate it around as needed, but obviously I can't rotate a whole wall, so I found a way to make up for it by painting with my left hand in addition to my right, and surprisingly, it worked. I repeat the same process for the higher foreground area, but I make the rocks slightly more smooth with longer shapes to change it up a bit. So the floating torch needed something to not make it float anymore, so I added a simple metal sconce. I used a yellow piece of chalk to sketch the Falcon warrior before tracing over it with paint, and while drawing with the chalk, I had a surreal moment like I was actually in a cave etching this petroglyph onto a stone wall by torchlight. I became so drawn into the painting while creating it. As a finishing touch, I wash over the petroglyph with various yellows and browns to blend it back into the wall slightly. As always, thank you so much for watching my videos. Until next time.